You know, when I was shown the tragedies of what we do to one another, was the harshest part of my near-death experience, to be honest. I found it brutal. I begged them to stop showing me. We are there now. The message is really, if we do not stop and shed and remove, we the people have a whole lot more empowerment than we actually acknowledge, because there's different frequencies going around on the planet currently, and which one are you going to choose? That's the question. Which one happening was starting from 2024, sometime in 2024, 2025 was going to be hard and harsh. Same with 2026, but 2027 was always lit up. And when I mean lit up, for me, it's like lit up in gold. The rush and it was like an explosive opening, throughout my body. And then when it was over, it was calm. I said, "Oh, you had a Kundalini Awakening." And I said,
Hi, this is Akanksshaa. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. We have with us today Heather Mae from Canada, who's had an extraordinary near-death experience, and we're going to learn all about that. Heather, a very warm welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and Talk Show. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Actually, it's an honor to be here as well, and sharing this space with you and whomever is going to be actually hearing this in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste. This is part 2 of a 2-part conversation. If you have not watched part 1, then we highly recommend that you watch that. The link for that is provided in the video description. Right, because it's amazing. You came back and you remember so much in so much detail, and only 8 minutes you were gone. So at that point, did you meet God, as in the source? And were you given that choice all the time? I've heard that they ask whether you want to stay back or whether you want to go back to the earth.
I was going to not come back. It was not a choice, actually. It was not a choice, but I would like to get to your first question, if you could repeat it again, and then I'll get to that. Sorry.
Sure. Did you meet the source, the God, like all encompassing kind of?
Yeah, so to me, the understanding of God was an incredible light of the all of everything consciousness. No. Did I see a form? No. For me, it was a light, and a big light, whereas it was, yes, that beautiful dimensional white light, but there was also gold in it. And that's why, even when I was on my knees, I knew I was in the presence of something more. You just know it, Yeah. And so that, and when it came to souls, when it came to, this gets hard to understand for even myself, when it came to souls and seeing souls as light, just light. And they're not necessarily itty bitty either, but they're just light, that actually, on another level, all are part of consciousness. And you can access that, but they're at a certain frequency as well, and so their consciousness is going to be more than maybe the other group that's not part of, maybe it's a core group, soul group, I did find that, I found that amazing. I found that absolutely fascinating. But the fact is no matter what the frequency is of the soul, there is absolute connection and grace and acceptance, and there's all of that there, because even if dimensionally a soul is from another place, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because there's that absolute acceptance. Going through to the absolute acceptance, because this is the part that I didn't mention, we are all connected. All of us on this planet. We're all here for the same reason. We are all here to experience. We are all here to grow. We are all here to learn specific things. Maybe for me, it's grace, and maybe for somebody else, it's humility or courage. It could be different for everybody for one of their big learnings. But it's to experience life, and it's also to remember that we are all brothers and sisters. There is no difference from me to you. There's no hierarchy. We're all connected, and we all actually affect one another. We all do, and when I was shown the tragedies of what we do to one another, was the harshest part of my near-death experience, to be honest. I found it brutal. I begged them to stop showing me. It's kind of like I was sitting in some kind of a chair, I don't know, sitting somehow, and there was a long line of these golden balls. And I guess they were about the size of a basketball, but the front of them opened up, opened up, and there would be a little running movie in there of from early mankind to civilizations, different civilizations of mankind, to how we can really come together, yes, and we can grow things on the land, but then there could be warring over that same land that maybe another group wants, and then there's death, and how we murder each other and how harsh we are with each other. And they kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and starvation of people and floods, horrendous weather, terrible times of no rain, and so crops couldn't grow, and just that devastation that happens. Watching people be washed away in landslides, even all the deaths, right down to earthquakes and people dying from being trapped. And it was just very hard to watch. All the civil wars, the unnecessary starvation of people. Yeah, it's unnecessary. It's
Yeah, but
unnecessary.
this is a lot to watch at one time. So, did you ask?
I had begged them to stop. That's how it stopped. I begged them to stop. I didn't want to see any.
What was the purpose of them showing you this, and also what was the message that what is coming up now for humanity?
We're in it. Some of the things I saw, we are in it right now. Big protests. I saw big protests. I saw certainly the civil wars. There's others. lots of death, people begging for food, people begging for help, people just having nowhere to be. We are there now. And the message is really, if we do not stop and shed and remove the belief structures we have about people, it makes me cry, it kills me. About cultures, people's religion, people's right to be, people's right to be heard, people's right to be seen. I mean, we all just want to be on the same level, and that's how it should be, you know. It doesn't matter what somebody looks like, or where they come from, what their culture is, belief status. It doesn't matter, because we are not going to get to be where we need to go if we keep this up. And it's painful to watch. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Take your time. I know. But did they tell you, because now that we are moving into the collective consciousness is raising and we are moving into 5D unity consciousness, so did they show you any predictions as to when we are going to end all of this and actually move to new earth or have that heaven on earth?
Well, no, they were probably going to get to the good stuff, but because I had begged them to stop, because there's more to come yet. And I don't want to frighten anybody. That's not what this is about. It's just about coming to a collective understanding, and to really raise our awareness, raises our frequency, raises our consciousness. Also understand, when we do that, we understand the belief structures that have mostly been built in or through propaganda, and really they're not ours. They're not ours, you know? So it's coming to that realization, recognizing that we've been fed a lot and it's been filtered through, and we've claimed it as belief structures. They're false. They're absolutely false about people all over the world. It's false. Are there some not nice people? Yes, there are some not nice people, you know, and they're in that frequency. I do want to let people know that there's a higher frequency. It's much calmer frequency. It is all around the planet. Currently, we're there. The other frequency that a lot of has the fear and the hate and all this, that, and the other thing, that moves very differently. It vibrates, it's choppy, it's denser. But then you have this calming energy up here. It moves very nicely. It has a higher understanding, and it is of love and acceptance and humility. And I keep using the word grace because I don't really know of any other word to use, but it's filled with that as well. Did I see where we're going? No, I didn't get to see that. I just know that there's different frequencies going around on the planet currently, and which one are you going to choose? That's the question. Which one?
Yeah. So did they say that when are these systems and false belief systems, panic and fear, when is it going to collapse? Was there any timeline given for that?
The only time frame I ever did see, or strongly felt was more happening, was starting from 2024, sometime in 2024. 2025 was going to be hard and harsh. Same with 2026, but 2027 was always lit up. And when I mean lit up, for me, it's like lit up in gold. So there's something with 2027 that there's more of a shift, a conscious awareness. But 2027 is, to me, how it appears for me, is actually quite promising. It is quite promising. And I just wanted to say that while I was watching all this, we the people have a whole lot more empowerment than we actually acknowledge. Because when we unify, it's the unification of the coming together of everyone, you know, to be collectively, even as an energy source. Each and every one of us, well, almost each and every one of us, depending upon the frequency you're holding, we are like beacons of light. That's what we are. And when we come collectively, that's massive. It's incredibly massive, you know, to see. And I'll say this, there are more of us than we actually acknowledge. There are many of us, you want to call us light workers, whatever you want to call us. With these frequencies, there's just quite a few, there's many of us, and far more than people would ever really truly know, unless you really know that within your heart space, because our heart space is how we receive. And when we know that, we feel connected with that. It's not just all with the anger and the panic and everything. And I understand that there is that. We don't need to accept that into our biofield. You know, we can hold our light. We really can. We really can. When it comes to, you did ask the question about the soul, my soul, and about coming back. Some people say, get to hear, oh, you know, it's time for you to go back now. No, I did not hear that. That was not for me. I was going to go straight through.
Then what made you come back?
I didn't want to, actually. I had said to the all, to God, I had said, I really want to finish this lifetime. I really want to finish this lifetime. I would like to share what I learned. I want to go back. The difference was, for me, going back was outside of my agreement, in a sense of, I'm going to be returning into a body that is quite damaged. And it wasn't part of my original agreement. One of my agreements was not that. And I said, but I need to, and I want to go back. Then I was told, okay, but understand this first. This first. If you go back now, you are going to be in a tremendous amount of pain for a long time. And it's going to be very difficult for you. Basically, I would have so much to heal. But it was on all the levels. It was psychologically and emotionally and physically, spiritual shifting. There was so much that was going to be going on. It was going to be extraordinarily hard, and I was going to have no support. And I actually believed everything I was going to bring back with me from the other side, I could do it. I really believed that on that side. On the other side, I could come back. I could do it. I could do it. And it was, okay then. And I was zipped right back. I'm in the hospital. Not doing well. In the hospital. But there's all these doctors around me. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, about 7 doctors around me in my bed. And one of them was flown in to the helicopter, I guess, from Seattle. And he was a pulmonary specialist. And so I had cardiologists, I had pulmonary specialists, I had for blood, no, the one for the blood specialist, I don't know, I can't remember now. There was so many of them, and I woke up and I smiled. And that cardiologist had touched my foot and he said, look, after all she's been through, and here she is, she has a smile. And I thought, yes, but I have a secret. I have a secret. Neurologist was one of the other ones that was their brain specialist. At any rate, I had then gone for other tests. I'm totally conscious, been in the hospital for a while already, a few days. And I was taken to a larger hospital for this special nuclear pulmonary tests. The people who were giving the test actually came out. I had a private nurse with me. I was in a hospital bed, you know, wheeled from the ambulance to this hospital for these tests. And they actually came out and they said, oh, we just had to touch you because we can't believe you're alive. We've never, ever, ever seen anything like this, and people survive. Like, people have one small blood clot go through the heart and into the lungs, they die. But you've had 9 massive, and so it was the size of a large coin, like a large coin. Okay, so for us, we consider it as a loonie. It's a big coin. So bigger than a 25-cent piece. And they said, we can't believe you're here and you're so young, you know? So the doctors had also told me that they said, you're an absolute miracle. We don't even know how you're here. The pulmonary specialist, he had said that I would be one of the people who would be studied as a survivor of this many emboli, pulmonary emboli. It had never been seen before, and that some people can survive. And so, yeah, but I never really took that on board. I was just in awe of my near-death experience. You know, was I in pain? Sure, I was. I was in pain. Did I have problems communicating? Yes, because the brain dies after 4 minutes. And so I had lost some, well, definite neurons for sure. Sometimes it was hard for me to communicate with people. There's some areas within my brain that healed and found new neuron pathways, created new neuron pathways, and some not so much. Some, but not as complete. I do, on occasion, have difficulties with finding my words. It is sometimes frustrating for me. When I first came back and after I was in the hospital for just over 30 days, and then eventually I came home. And if I wanted to invite you for a cup of tea and say you came to my home, I would hold up a tea bag and a cup because I couldn't find the words. And I would go like this. And then, you know, I didn't want everybody to know I was struggling so badly. For somebody who had been a news editor, I was struggling badly with words. And that's how I did it. I had Post-its. I would write myself notes. My lungs were in a lot of trouble. I had a lot of trouble with my lungs for breathing. They expected me to be on lifelong oxygen, which I'm not. They wanted to put a pacemaker in my heart because the communication, so there's electric communication between the brain and the heart and the brain. They're always talking to each other. And because my heart had stopped for so long and there was damage from the big clots getting through, it was the largest clot that killed me, by the way. The other ones did keep passing, but that one stopped everything. So they wanted to fit me with a pacemaker because my heart would sometimes go, boom, 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 and then go boom, 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 really fast, and then stop. And then it would catch up. It'd go fast again. And it was scary, but I turned down the pacemaker. I didn't want it because I felt that I could work with myself and bring that back into balance. I was going to lose my legs. They were going to amputate my legs, and I was going to be in a wheelchair, which I am not in. And so I worked with that too. But it didn't mean that I was pain free with my legs or anything. Some things I've had to live with, definitely. But at least I'm alive. Like my neurologist said about my words, he just retired last year, actually. And he always said to me, he said, just find the smaller word, Heather. Just find the smaller word. It doesn't have to be a big word. And at least you're alive. That's true. That's true.
Wow.
He was the only one I ever talked
You're
to.
brave.
Stubborn and brave, yes. Resilient. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so incredible what you have been through. I mean, before the near-death experience, while going through the experience, and then even after coming back from there. The light beings that were there with you throughout this journey, do you know who they were?
I had a brief, short other near death, but it's not really worth mentioning. It was very, very fast. I called them the White Brotherhood because that's what they told me I could call them. And they were pure light. They were almost angelic. And they radiated this incredible light. They have been with me always.
Wow.
They're kind of like
connect with them?
Yes. Yes. There were other beings that I have seen over time after my NDE that I don't really talk about too much. There's some that I find disturbing that I don't particularly like. They're very dense energy beings. I like the other ones, the other ones that are all light and have this beautiful radiance about them that will share information and provide knowledge if you're ready to receive it, of course. I have met many, many guides along the way, to which I'm always grateful for, because we are never alone. We are absolutely never alone. And there have been others. I called them the rainbow beings because they just have so many different light to them. I also understood while I was on the other side, you will be shown beings in a way that you are comfortable to understand.
Right.
So it's really about our comfort, not to shock. I mean, have I seen others that were pretty much as they were? There wasn't any soft entrance about them, So that was more of those type of species, I guess we can call them. They're beings. They have every right to be, just as we have every right to be, some of them are extraordinary in, they know everything. Depending on what galaxies they're from.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting. Yeah.
So did you go to other galaxies as well?
I was shown other galaxies. Where they were, couldn't tell you. It was kind of like, oh, and look at this. Remember this? Oh, yeah. And it's like when you're on the other side, you remember everything? Oh, yes, of course I know this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful. Look at that over there. And I'm shown all these amazing things and galaxies and dimensions and all of it. And then, I mean, really, when I came back, it's 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 like when I took an accelerated program. It was 3.5 years, and I took it and completed it in 9 months. And it's like having so much information all at one time that it really, truly, honestly, it was an evolution of understanding. And there are some things about it that I don't 100% have the understanding. I don't really have the understanding. I was shown things that I can't quite make the connection to. There's just so much information. And then it's to apply that in your life.
Yeah.
All your information, all the things that you know, and now apply it in your life and move with that in life. It was very, very difficult because being back here was kind of like moving through sludge. It was arduous. It was it was heavy. I could call it heavy,
Yeah. So
energetic.
what was your biggest revelation once you came back from there, which you had to apply here? Which was the biggest thing that, okay, this is something I have to do there?
Well, one was to live my promise. That never left me for a second. I promised to come back and share. I didn't know how I was going to do that. It was not received very well at all for years. That I found difficult. The other thing I found really difficult was to see the beauty of every soul person here. Okay, so your beauty might be like whomever, even if they were a horrible person in this life. And I would get confused with that. I would say, oh my gosh, look at their soul. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, they're cruel and horrible and being abusive to me. It would be like, oh, wait a minute. It would be a very stark difference. And so I would have to say to myself, you have to ignore that part because you know what? They don't know about that part. They don't know what they don't know. It's this part you have to deal with, Heather. It's this part, and so I found that difficult. And because I always had the welcome mat open. Well, I was willing to welcome everybody, but not everybody should be welcomed. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. The other part of it that I found really quite difficult was to really get my head around all the healing that I had to do from the history of my life up until that point. So the history of some really bad scenarios that I was in, the trauma with my family, my parents. I had all that I knew over here in my near-death experience, understood it there, but now I have to live the understanding over here. And how am I going to get through and move through the resentment and the anger and the rage? And that was very unfair, and they made my life hard. I had to get through all that. Well, incorporating this higher understanding, it took time. It really took time. It took a lot of time, and I could only do one person at a time. Yeah, I found very difficult. I found it very difficult to be in places that were very low vibration. So let's say I'm going to a community. Oh, I don't know. I'm visiting somebody, but the community itself, as a collective community group, as on a very low frequency, it was very uncomfortable for me. And yet, it's not their fault. And so to learn to not bring that into my energy field, to not claim that as mine, that's theirs and that's okay over there, but this is my light and this is my space here, you know. So that took time for me to learn, as well as understanding that I could turn off knowing things about people. That took quite some time for me to learn to turn it off. I'm talking people when you're standing in the queue and you know things about people that I didn't want to know. So it took me a while to learn how to shut it off and turn it on and shut it off.
Yeah, that's quite a lot, because suddenly you come to from a very, very high realm, a very high dimension where there is pure light, and suddenly coming here to dense kind of vibration, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
people, you talked about soul blueprint and soul contracts, and because we have amnesia when we come here, like you said, that you see that their soul is so beautiful, but here they are abusive and cruel. And
mhm,
there are people who kind of go astray, as in they don't follow their soul blueprint and they do something else, not as per the soul contract or soul blueprint. What
yeah.
happens in such cases?
Well, it was, from my understanding in those cases, the whole process of coming here was to evolve in a greater understanding, and because of choices, maybe it was greed, or it could be anything, they didn't, in a sense. They learned other skills, maybe how to embezzle or maybe other skills, you know. But that doesn't mean that they then come in and are in with the level 4 dimensional soul group. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that, because the soul that you came in as, if you didn't raise your frequency, your consciousness, your experiences of understanding, then you are exactly in the frequency of soul group that you came with, that you started out with. We all want to rise on a soul, as a soul. We all want to rise, you know, but not everybody's going to get to do that. I know in the past people said, oh, well, what about Hitler? Hitler should be in hell. Hitler shouldn't be in anything. But for me, I didn't see one little piece of hell. I didn't see any of it. I just saw different frequency souls. And so Hitler wouldn't be with the rest of us, you know, he's not going to be, and he wouldn't be. I don't know. If there's a level 1, maybe he's there. I don't know, but he's not with the rest of us. And so that was my understanding on how that worked.
Yeah, everybody who's had NDE has confirmed that there is no hell. And
Yeah.
you talked about healing chambers, and there was some in-depth kind of deeper healing
Yes.
chambers. So I believe people who are a little bit negative or who don't do the right things here, they need healing, and then they, because there is no judgment and there is
No.
complete acceptance, they go there.
Yeah.
So are these, because I have read about these references in different religion systems, like for Buddhists it is bardos, for Christians it is purgatory, and for Hindus there is a realm in between
Yeah.
where the souls go to kind of cleanse and heal. So are these the same?
I actually feel that it's all very, very similar. When I had asked, because I did ask about religion, so are there any specific religions that have it down? They got it. No, was the answer. Every single religion has a part of a part, and all those parts make the whole. So not any religion has the whole story, the whole understanding that they all have a piece. All religions have a piece. And all those pieces can come together to make a whole entire understanding. And that's how I understood it.
Wow.
I know there were elders, because my mother was, eventually she was Mormon. Okay, Mormon faith. And when they called them visiting teachers. So when the visiting teachers came over, I was at her house. I had already left the bigger city. I'm in a very rural area. Interestingly enough, my entire family moved there too. So I was at my mom's visiting, and time had gone by. I don't know how many years, maybe it was 7 or 8 after my NDE, and she had visitor teachers coming. And I said, oh, well, when they get here, I'll leave. And so they knocked on the door, and I got up. I was sitting, just, having a tea with her. And I got up and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to leave. And she said, no, stay. And I thought, I don't really want to stay. But being a good daughter, I stayed. And the visitor teachers were interested in me because my mom said, oh, my daughter had a near-death experience. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to do this with them, because I didn't want to do our religion is the best, which is what they did. And they said, so the Mormon religion is the one that has it complete, yes? And I sat there and I thought, oh gosh. So I said no. They were so mad at me. And I knew they were going to be angry. And I didn't want to be here. And I didn't want to do this, but I wasn't going to lie either. And so I said, no, you don't. You think you do, as everybody does. I said, but you have a piece. You have a part. And they said, well, what part? I said, the reincarnation part. Because I knew about their religion because of my mom, at any rate. And they said, that's impossible because we are the ones that are graced by God. And I said, no, but that's your belief and that's fine and you're entitled to it. And I'm fine with that. And I have my understandings and that's okay. And they said, no, wait a minute. I wanted to leave. No, wait a minute. What else? How could your soul go to heaven when you have not been baptized as Mormon? I have been baptized by nothing, by the way, just to say. And I said, look, just because somebody has a complete belief structure from you or your religion does not mean there's somewhere else we people go, because that's an us and them situation. And this is not about us and them, and we all go to the same place. We are all embraced by God, or you want to call it the Supreme Being, or Buddha. It doesn't matter what you call it. We all go to the same place. Anyways, they started getting angry, and then they said, the devil got a hold of me, and that's when I stood up and said, I have to go. So I did leave, and they said, we're going to bring elders to speak with you. I really didn't want to do that. They did come. I have done that with a few other groups, but I'm not about changing anybody's mind. I'm not about that. I'm not saying your religion's no good and this one's good, and that it's not even about that. It's none of that. It's none of that. We are all light. Our souls are all light. And we are all very, very similar, maybe different areas of the world, but we all want the same thing. We want to be heard and seen and accepted and loved, and we want to experience that. We're all the same. We really are, and it doesn't matter where we come from or what we believe, really.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, my question was more to this perspective that there are references across all religions about these healing chambers. They're called differently across different religions. But my question was that are these healing chambers for cleansing of soul? Like when you cross over before you go to higher realm,
Yes.
the soul is purified and cleansed, and then you go to the higher realm. So,
Yes.
is this what you're talking about? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because the soul needs to be in that place to be, well, cleansed. I just call it healed, to be cleansed, to be healed, to really be prepared to then ascend to where it is they need to go. So, and depending upon what that time period is going to be. It could be for what we call, or what I understood as a longer period of time. Some it's quite fast. It all depends. It all depends.
Yeah.
But yes, they do. All souls. All
Mhm.
souls.
And you talked about remembering after you went there. Like everything you knew already, and you just had to remember. And what I understand is that our consciousness expands when we remember. So, how can we do it here physically? Restore our soul memories and remember who we are.
Well, when I'm working with people, and perhaps you do too, I help people to basically clear themselves of their light column, to really understand and to connect with, may they call it source, creator, God, Christ energy. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's whatever their belief structure is, to consciously be connected to that. And I walk them through that, but also to clear themselves as a light column. We are a column of light. But also to work through, if you have denser areas, that does affect the broadcast. It does actually affect one's ability to have a higher understanding, which means your consciousness is raised, which means your frequency is raised. And so we all are to be working towards that. We should be. Are we all? No. And those who don't, that's fine. That's fine. But for those who choose it, yes, we all can do that. Absolutely. Absolutely. To decompress those belief structures that are like anchors to the earth, the anchors to that lower source of energy, to release ourselves from that.
Yeah, so essentially what you're saying is you visualize a column of light and being in that light, and then kind of remembering who you are and decompressing and deconditioning all the belief systems here.
Yeah, because we just have so many belief structures. I mean, I'll say it in French, en vitro. Well, we're actually within, before we're birthed, let's just say, we're receiving all kinds of information already. We are being indoctrinated before we're even birthed. We've received so much. And then by the time we come into our family of origin, we've got all that epigenetics and historics and everything that we actually have arrived with, and we're part of, and how we are to behave in the family, to be accepted in the family. Like there's all these things that we've learned, and also certainly the us and them situation, that it's not so much an unlearning, it's to learn how and to understand that actually we don't have to live in that understanding. There's a higher understanding, a more graceful understanding of acceptance, of respect for all, and it's people, and it's the planet, and it's everything. The animals, it's everything, because that makes the whole of the planet.
So after coming back, do you have any deep spiritual experience that you want to share?
I did actually. It was about a week after I was released from the hospital. My fiance at the time had gone away to work. So it was just me in the house, and my daughter had long been asleep. I was reading a book. I was in bed. Yes, I had my cat and reading my book. And I put the book down because I could hear this rush of a noise. And my eyes were open, but all I could see was yellow, like brilliant, like the sun. And I had no idea what that. And I touched my eyes. Yep, they're open. They're actually open, but this was all I could see. And then I started vibrating and bouncing all over that bed, and I couldn't stop it. I know some people said, "Oh, you had a seizure." No, 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 this was not a seizure, and I knew it was not. The the rush and it was like an explosive opening, throughout my body. And then when it was over, it was calm. I could see everything again, and I had no idea what that was. I had no idea what it was. It wasn't until quite some time later, when I finally found somebody to talk to, said, "Oh, you had a Kundalini Awakening." And I said, "A what?" No idea what it was. But it was terrific, significant, massive, and to hear that rush, like that, it was a rush, a sound, but it was like sunshine. It was like sunshine. It was incredible. Through right from the top, through my body, through my entire body. So yeah, it was the Kundalini Awakening was enormous. But like I said, I didn't know that's what it was for some time, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have it every night or what was going to happen. But I did not. I did not. But it lasted for quite some time. It really did. It wasn't just a minute or two. It was definitely longer than that. It was a period of time. Unforgettable. It's unforgettable. So,
Wow, you had such amazing experiences. You talked about working with the energy and some psychic abilities that you developed after your NDE and the spiritual experience. In short, can you show that aura picture and talk about how you
yeah.
work with the energy?
I'll just cover up the name. The camera's going to try and find my face, but anyways, this is a drawing of somebody's auric field. That's remember, the auric field is fluid, so this is a captured moment in time. I try to show it as rolling, as moving. This person holds their auric field very close to their body. They've had a lot of harsh experiences. Their nervous system is very deregulated. It's drawn in here, but you can't see it. All on the side here is all written information, all about this person. They are very protective in their heart center. They find it very, very hard to receive anybody, Actually, they're very protected. And so unfortunately, when we do that, we miss out. So how I do that, these take a long time to do, to be honest with you. It's 2 to 3 hours. I do this before I meet you. I do this. Then I meet you. And then I
Oh,
share it with
so you
on Zoom.
remotely assess the aura, you can sense it remotely,
Yeah.
and even the nervous system, and then you meet and you work with
Yes.
the client's energy then
Yes.
to remove the blocks and the limiting belief patterns and all.
Yes, absolutely. If they want to go further, some people want to know what the auric field and energy systems look like. And I share with whatever they share with me on that plane, on that level. And if they want to go further with working, maybe with re-regulating the nervous system or opening the heart center or looking at patterns and belief structures, then that's their option to do so. Some people are just curious as to what their auric field looks like. And so, that's what they want to know. What does it look like? I'm just curious. So it's all hand drawn, it's all handwritten. I print because my handwriting is just horrendous. It's terrible. So I print, and then I do meet people on Zoom. They receive this in a PDF. We meet on Zoom, and then I just about 30 minutes, maybe I just discuss it with them to make sure they're clear understanding of what I've just shared with them. And so, yeah, and so that's what I do. And I work with people on learning how to work with energy, how to call it in, being clear of intention, allowing for their own awareness to increase. Could be a grounding, could be source, God, Christ energy, working with that. And you work with me pretty much one time, unless you want to do mentorship, of course, that's up to you. But usually it's one time. And in that time, you learn how to, under the guise of the umbrella, you learn how to, yes, the meditation, but you're learning how to come into center, to really come into the present, to align with yourself, to clear yourself, to understand your broadcast, change your broadcast. There's lots, but I mean, you're learning how to scan your body. You're learning breath work, visualization skills, and how to actually work with energy that is channeled for you. Because if the frequency is too high, then you can't hold it. If the frequency is too low, then it's counterintuitive. It's not going to assist you. And so I always channel. So I ask your higher self, what is the frequency for your optimal being in the here and the now? And that's how I ask it. And so then I'm shown. And
Wow.
so that's the
And
energy.
if somebody has aura leakages or tears, how do you suggest that we repair them?
If you're aware of them, well, there's a few ways that you can do that, because if you have an awareness, usually I've noticed that people will have the back open, because a lot of times we're not paying attention so much to our back as our front. And so you can go into meditation actually, and you can close it yourself, go through all the layers, close it yourself. You can also call upon, if you know who your guide is, you can call upon your guide to assist to close it. You can also ask yourself, why is it open? That's usually a good thing to know. So to ask yourself, why is it open? We have many different reasons as to why we may have openings in our auric field. Many. So it's to become quiet, slow down, ask the question. Very first thing you get, don't have your logical mind change it. You can ask for an angel to assist you. You can go and see somebody who knows how to work with the auric field as well to close it. But it's always best to understand, why is it open, because once it's closed, you want it to remain that way. Closed, but fluid and nice in motion, not like a shield. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ask all my guests few questions towards the end, like a rapid fire round. Can I ask you those questions?
Sure. Yeah, ask me anything. I hope I can answer it.
Okay. If you were to explain what is a multidimensional soul, how would you explain it?
A multidimensional soul for me, in my understanding, has access and connection with so much wisdom, so much information, and much higher frequency access. That's what I would say.
What is holistic well-being according to you?
Holistic for me is to include all parts of our being, all parts of our physical body, all parts of our biofield. There's just so much more to us than just this form, and to include and incorporate everything that brings that into balance and alignment and wholeness, really.
What is the ultimate purpose of life?
In a physical form, I feel and have believed from my own experience that we really truly are here to learn grace, to really learn how to love. Love without expectation, but to be able to open our hearts to receive, to really receive people is incredible. To have these experiences with many different people and to grow from that, to have an understanding that is not limited, to actually remove those brackets of limitation, to see peripheral, to see above and below, to really get all the connections I feel are why we're here, and then to ascend with that knowledge, which then becomes wisdom. And that becomes part of the soul wisdom forever.
Beautiful. What is love?
Love. Well, love for me is the absolute acceptance of someone. And for me, of course, my husband, my not the other guy, not the fiance. No. You know, with having grace there as well, because it's not about I give 50%, you give 50%. No, we give 100% all the time. But it's also to have a grace that somebody perhaps is not in the understanding or the place of understanding where you are. And that is okay. And it doesn't mean you eliminate your love. It doesn't mean that. It means actually that your understanding is there. You can actually receive that person with respect and grace. And for me, it's a higher understanding of love. And even if you're not always on the same wavelength, that's okay. That really is okay, because they're in their light and you're in yours.
What is self-love?
Self-love, now that one was hard for me to get to. It took me a long time. A lot of healing I had to do to get there. So self-love is the, yes, term has been used many times, but the acceptance of who I am and including my shadow side. That I am not perfect, and that's okay. That I have learning to do still, and that's okay. That I can actually stand up and I can claim my space and be comfortable with that. It's that for me.
Yeah. And what's your parting message for our audience today?
It really would be, we are all the same. I don't care that we look different and believe different things. We've all come down here for the same experience. It may not all exactly be the same depending upon what country we're in, our agreements and experiences and choices in life, but truly we are all human beings, all of us. And we are all, in my belief, we're all brothers and sisters, and we really do need to lift the propaganda of we're different, because we aren't. That somebody over there is better than me, or it's us against them, because it spreads hatred and conflict. And to me, that is what we need to be aware of all times if we want to get to where we want to be as a society.
How can people connect with you?
I do have a website. It's Heather Mae, just like my name is spelt, .ca.
Okay.
And people, I have a chat there, or people can email me at info@heathermay.ca. And it's been an absolute honor to have this space with you.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. We'll give all the contact details in the video description. And thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching and listening in wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we all are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and our guests. And if you resonate with me, do subscribe to my channel and do let us know how you find our episodes. Thank you so much. Lots of love.